moments, talk about the referee's performance, the player's performance, everything, how many pens, how much injury time, you name it. We will cover it in a second. If you just checked us out for the first time, hello, good to see you. Smash subscribe, help get us to the next milestone, which is, I think, about 10,500 subscribers, I think will be the next milestone for us. Excuse the croaky voice. I am still suffering from whatever it is lurgy I have got. And that game probably wasn't great medicine for me, to be fair, because I was shouting a fair few moments at the referee and the players as well. But we'll get stuck right into that. So how do we line up today? I mean, the big question, the big change was that Joe Linton was obviously out injured, and the big change was it was unchanged apart from Joe Willock coming into midfield. There's a lot of questions about that, really, in terms of, should it be Willock? Should it be Miley? I said my piece. I think a lot of people agreed with me and thought Lewis Miley deserved a chance. Now, I thought he did deserve a chance as well. And we'll get into Joe Willock, in a second. But I thought we started quite well in the game. I thought we were quite energetic. Ironically enough, Willock was one of the better performers in the first half. I think we had some good shape to try and beat the press from Brighton to start with. We didn't push the keeper too quickly, as we were saying, obviously, in the preview as well. So we kind of held back a little bit off the goalkeeper. I thought we flooded the midfield quite well. And in the first, 10, 15 minutes, I thought, we're in much better shape here. We'll look a lot more tactically inept to deal with, or tactically, aware to deal with Brighton and how they play and how they beat us over this season, 2-3 times already. And we've never won at the Amex Stadium either. And we still haven't, by the way. But I thought we started quite well, 10, 15 minutes in. We had a few chances. Doesn't quite work. We're rushing the pass. Isak's looking a little bit invisible. He's not getting the service. I mean, he's a skinny lad anyway, but he's starved to death today, apart from towards the end, which we'll get into. But Barnes looked lively. He was giving them some real trouble down the left-hand side. He was tucking inside, but he was popping off passes rather than getting that shot off. And I just felt that if Harvey Barnes had just stepped in, dropped the shoulder and had that shot, I think we could have went 1-0 up. Really, I thought he was looking for that shot, but it didn't quite happen in the end. So that's how we started the game. And then we started to just look nerves creeping in. The final ball was poor. We were losing possession, making bad decisions. All of Joe Willock's dynamic running and interceptions kind of disappeared, and he just didn't have the ball. I'm sure it was a good kind of 10, 12 minutes. I don't think Willock even touched the ball, I think, at one point in the first half. And then the goal comes on 28 minutes. And it's mental, really. So the ball comes over for an attack for Brighton to start with. It moves over to kind of our right-hand side, and then we give them. We don't press them. We don't pressure them. We don't hurry them. It then comes back over to their right-hand side, our left-hand side, with Yankuba Minte, and he manages to cut inside. And Sandro Tonali comes in to tackle him. Sandro was really poor today, uncharacteristically poor from Sandro today. Not a great performance from him whatsoever, really. But Sandro comes in, and you think, right, well, Sandro's going to try and block the shot, but then he just kind of pulls his leg back and allows Minte to do a couple of little steps. He goes inside, he curls it flicks off Dan Burns' massive noggin and guns in the back of the net, and we're 1-0 down. You think, what the hell's happened here? Brighton didn't look great. They looked kind of well organised and drilled and well structured, but they didn't look great. It didn't look like they were going to, penetrate our back four with a brilliant free-flowing attack. But then they're 1-0 up, and you think, what's going on? Then again, the players were nervous. They were misplacing passes. Bruno was dreadful today, absolutely dreadful. We missed Joe Linton's aggression in that midfield today, no doubt about it whatsoever. I think Willock started to fade into the game, even before halftime whistle. So we'll go in at 1-0. And you think, right, Newcastle have had moments where they looked like they could have went in front in that game, and moments where they could have got back into the game. And then we come out at half time, and I think we're pressing for most of the second half. I mean, just looking at the first half. So first half possession, we had 55% possession versus their 45. The second half, again, we had 53 versus their 47. We had 9 shots in the second half. We had only had 4 in the first half. So versus their 2, and then obviously they score a goal with it. But we really were pressing hard to get that goal, pressing, and then come the penalties, the 3 penalties in a row. So we bring on Anthony Gordon, and instantly he looks like he's making an impact. It was a bit of an off day for Murphy today. I didn't think he really did much. He pulled out wide. He tried to get the crosses in, but couldn't really beat the first man. A lot of them were grass cutting on the floor. He didn't look like he was at the Murphy that he could have been. He gets a sight of a shot and smashes somebody's car window in the Brighton car park, and you just think it's not really Murphy's day. This, and as well as it wasn't Bruno's day, and it wasn't Salah Tonali's day. I thought he was quite poor as well, to be fair. So we're bringing Anthony Gordon, and Anthony Gordon straight away makes impact straight away off the bench. I'm just looking at Gordon's stats there. So he comes on Gordon straight away. And I even said to Mark, he needs to run at Lampard, because Lampard had come on for their fullback, who was very, very lucky not to get sent off. Yeah, Weaver, but that looked like he had a pile of pubes on his head. He had a yellow card. What did he get a yellow card for? He got a yellow card for fouling somebody. And he went right through the back of Tonali. And you thought that should have been a second yellow and a red card. And then, fair play to Hurts. He subs him after that. Great management there from him. Fair, gets rid of him. Gordon comes on straight away. And I said to Mark, I text Mark and say he needs to run at Lampard, because Lampard's not had a lot of Premier League footballers. His legs won't be there. Straight away, that's what he does. He runs at Lampard. He tucks inside. We get the foul. The ref points to the penalty spot straight away. You go back and look at it. And fair play on this one. The foul itself happens just marginally on the outside of the box. And then Gordon falls in the box. So it isn't a penalty. It's a free kick. Even Gordon said that as well. Nothing really comes from the free kick in that regard. And then we get another one. Joe Willock, who did very little in the second half. This time he actually did make a progressive run. He runs into the box and he knocks it by the defender and he goes down. And first glance, you think that's a penalty straight away, Stonewall penalty. And you go back and look at the replay, and it's a terrible dive from Joe Willock, an awful dive, really. The defender pulls his leg away. I think it's the lad who actually been linked to, Van Heck, who we did a video on the other day, pulls his leg back, and Joe Willock drops to the floor like a sack of shit and gets a yellow card. It gets overturned by VAR, gets a yellow card, and you're thinking, fucking hell, are we ever going to get a goal here today? We bring on Callum Wilson, we go 2 up front, and you're thinking, are we ever going to get a goal here? My mate actually texted me, and my mate Steve texted me and said, we can play till next week and not get a goal. And then the third penalty, which is where we get the goal from, the third penalty comes in. It's a free kick from Fabian Schär on the edge of the box. He smashes it in, and their player, I think it's, is it the substitute that came on? What was the lad's name? Ayari. He puts his hand down and he slaps it down to the floor. And I don't know what takes VAR so long to see the fact that he slaps it down on the floor. The guy in VAR in Stockley Park was watching on the telly and he's going, Mate, he slapped the ball down. It's like a basketball move. He's literally slapped it down. How does that take you 10 minutes to see that? We get the penalty. Alexander Isak stands up, takes it, cool as you like. Absolutely brilliant penalty in the bottom left-hand corner. His 23rd goal of the season. We're back level. And, I think we could win this. I really do. I'm sitting there thinking we could win this game now. We're really good. Then it's Brighton at the other end that nearly win the fucking game. Is it Gomez gets a header, manages to get clear of Burn, who wasn't great either today, Burn. He's overplayed way too much for me to take down Burn. Defended well, but when he's got the ball, he's not real Ferdinand. He's to stop trying to take 2 or 3 touches and dribble out wide, because he's not got the pace or the skill to turn and find himself some space. And he put himself under too much necessary pressure here that he passes it back to Tino, puts Tino under pressure, whose touch isn't great either. So that's not good for Burn. Burn needs to get that shit out of his game straight away. He's not Sven Botman either. Don't try and play like Sven Botman, Burn. Do what you do, defend, get rid of it, sort it out. You're great at that. So they did a score at the other end, and we go up the other end. And to be fair, it's a lovely ball. It's a lovely through ball by Bruno, about as much as he did in the game itself. He was rubbish for most of the game. I was shouting for him to get hooked for my league, probably on the hour mark, from the hour mark onwards. He slips a lovely ball through to Harvey Barnes, who for me was our man of the match today. I'll get you a man of the match in a minute. Barnes was man of the match, I think, today for me. He was brilliant. I thought he was everywhere. Very unlucky not to get a goal himself and an assist. He slips in Callum Wilson. Callum Wilson rattles a shot. It's a good shot, to be fair. Kind of hits over the top of it, so it's dipping. And their keeper, what a save from Verbruggen, by the way. What a save. Instinctive hand up, slaps it over the bar, and it stays 1-1. So Newcastle got the draw. We're 4th in the table. We're 3 points ahead of Chelsea, who are taking on Liverpool fucking B team right now. I've seen some comments about that already. That is shocking by Arne Slot, making 6 changes to that Liverpool team. I mean, my God. Champions League football is still there to be played. And he's making 6 changes. If Chelsea turn them over today, that is fucking abysmal. But we've still got to play Chelsea next week. And if we beat them, we can sort out our own destiny and fuck Chelsea and fuck Arne Slot as well for picking his reserve team. Let's get into your comments there, guys. So George is saying one of the most frustrating matches I've watched, for sure, 100%. Phil is saying Harvey Barnes very good again. Yeah, Chippers agrees. Barnes was man of the match. Absolutely. Comment there from Paul Ivory saying thought terrible first half, better second half. Midfield was missing. First half, Isak non-existent. Not a touch in the Brighton box, but didn't get any service from Murphy as he was missing also. Yeah, I agree with that. A lot of the big players didn't turn up today. Sensible saying frustrating and poor performance, but that's the point. It's massive. Our goal difference is like having a game in hand. Absolutely. I mean, to get a point there, I think after that today is unbelievable. Super chat from Chris. Isak poor again. I think he's just not getting the service, Chris. That's the problem. He needs the service. If he doesn't get the service, I think he just looks invisible, doesn't he? To be fair, we can breathe, says Kev. More than me, Kev. I'm struggling with this cough. I'm trying to hold it in. It sounds like Bob Fleming. Vincent is saying some people saying Isak might not be 100% fit. I'm not sure he is. I'm not sure he is fit. I think he's trying to hold back a bit of that Isak burst, is what I've said before in videos, and I agree with that. I just think that I agree with myself. That's quite bad, isn't it? Holding back because he doesn't want to get injured even more than he already is. So I just don't think that's probably the case. Steve is saying, just like one of those games we were never going to win. We were so much better. I'm taking that point. Absolutely. Liverpool have to batter Chelsea. I agree with that, mate. They should hopefully do. Woody Farmer saying, didn't we say a month ago 69 points? We'll get Champions League for us. We've still got this inhale, exhale, and fuck VAR. Absolutely, mate. I think we'll do get Champions League. I said a point today. I got the score right again, by the way. I should really start gambling. Bet responsibly if you do, because I keep getting the scores right. Vincent again been saying to George, he's done with Willock. Yeah, I'll get into Willock in a second. P. James, blatant handball in the box. Still takes VAR 2 minutes to clarify. Fuck, I think it took longer than 2. It took about 10, didn't it? Koshy saying, great result. Thought we would never score. Absolutely. Marcus saying, very spicy edge game, given our record there. I would have taken the point. Still in our hands. And Michael McDougall is saying, this is totally why we need a right wing upgrade, as Murphy just drops off a cliff when we need him to. Excuse me, guys. Just coughing there on the old mute button. God bless the mute button. So Joe Willock. Let's start with Joe Willock. Again, I don't want to be too negative on the game because we've got a great point at the Amex, which we don't generally get anything from the Amex, really. So it's a good point from the Amex. Probably should have won in the end, I think, without that keeper's wonder say we probably do win that 2-1. In truth, I don't think Brighton could really grumble with that. I think we definitely were the best team in the second half and deserved that win. But Willock for me, I said this before, I've seen a lot of people saying that the people's opinion to play Miley is based on emotion. It's not based on emotion at all. It's based on just football understanding or football and opinion. It's nothing to do with emotion. Louis Miley could be from Guatemala, and I still want him to play ahead of Joe Willock. Joe Willock gives the ball away too much in dangerous positions. Joe Willock goes missing when things are getting nitty gritty. When you've got to dig in, you've got to try and close ranks. You've got to try and block shots. He's nowhere to be seen. He had moments in the game, but he faded away today again really, really quickly. Now, I was talking to Marcus before we came on, and based on the past, the Lewis Miley, touch wood, has always had really strong games against Chelsea. So maybe this was always going to be Eddie's plan. Maybe it was going to be Joe Willock for the Brighton game and Lewis Miley for the Chelsea game. Obviously at home as well, in front of the Toon Army. He's had brilliant games there before against those teams. So maybe that's what was going to happen. Maybe it was always going to be Willock this game and Miley the next game. But I just hope that Miley gets a chance because I think he uses the ball so well. There was times in that game where we just kept giving the ball away. And I think if we'd had those nice little triangles of passing between Tonali, Bruno and Miley, I think we would have pulled Brighton's shape apart and left more spaces, certainly for the likes of Barnes and Gordon to find space and Isak to find space. And I just don't think, that Miley Willock would do that. Bruno saying Eddie doesn't trust Miley. I hope that's not the case, Bruno, because I don't see why he wouldn't trust him. He's played in massive games, and Eddie's played him in massive games, against Paris Saint-Germain, the Champions League, against Chelsea, against Manchester United, against Man City. He's played Miley in those games, and Miley's turned up in those games and done the business. So I just don't understand why he wouldn't play him. The only thing I can think of is that it was an edgy, dodgy game or kind of catchy game, and he didn't want maybe to put Louis in that position where, if he misplaces a pass, everyone jumps on his back. I don't know. Maybe it's that, but maybe just being Eddie Howe, maybe he's saying, right, I'm keeping him for the Chelsea game, and maybe we'll see Lewis Miley start in that game, in the Chelsea game. Jay says that Wilson looked better today. He did. I thought he looked a lot sharper. Very good shot there. Great save by the keeper, to be fair. That should be that in the net. Barnes man of the match as well, says Jay. Would be Farmer saying, same. Some of you feel like this was a loss. To me, this was a win. We are still 69 points in CL. We lose today. We might need help from others. Think positively. No, I think it's a great result. Would be Farmer. I've said that. Absolutely. I think we could have got the win. That's not me being negative. That's just me being honest. I think given the amount of possession we had, the chances created, the players we had in the park, we arguably had our 4 best finishers up front towards the end of that game with Gordon, Isak, Wilson, and Barnes. So I think it was a good chance to get that victory today. But listen, the draw is still a good result, no doubt about it. Asian Tech saying, I said a draw when I woke up this morning, Chris. Yeah, absolutely, mate. I always said a draw. I said that in the preview. Some people told me to be more positive, but I definitely felt a draw was on the cards, and I'm happy with the draw. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy with the draw. Malcolm saying we got into some great positions, but the final ball was shit. It really was shit. It really was. Arthur saying great performance at the Amex. Brighton won the first half. We won the second half. Yeah, I hard to disagree with that. The one thing that would disappoint me today, I think, is Bruno. And there might be a bigger conversation here to have about Bruno, to be honest with you, because, and I'm not saying that Bruno's crap if anyone overreacts in the comments, but Bruno's not been great probably for a good while now, a good couple of months, I think. And I think Tonali and his performances have probably masked some of Bruno's deficiencies over the last few months. He gives the ball away a lot. His head goes a lot, gets quite, sucked into the needle and the kind of, the micey bit of the game, and it throws him off, doing what he's supposed to do, which is find that killer pass or get on the edge of the box and do something. And he's shooting. He needs to put his fucking laces through that chance he gets in the first half on the edge of the box. You got to put your foot through that, man. If that's Harvey Barnes, that's in the back of the net. If that's Lewis Miley, I think that's in the back of the net. Bruno's trying to perfectly, stroke into the far corner. And, when he gets into those attacking positions, when we first signed him, he was brilliant. He got in those positions. He scored goals. He diving headers, back heels, lovely finishes in the bottom corner. But he hasn't really looked a goal threat, I don't feel, for quite a while in those positions. And I think other players in the squad are more of a goal threat in those positions than he is. And I would put Lewis Miley into that category. His goal against Fulham, his very first goal, it's a great finish. His strike against Forest, touch and spin, lovely finish in the bottom corner. The one against Bromley, I know it's Bromley, but you can still see that the lad's got that in his locker. And Bruno doesn't have that for me in the minute. He's really, really struggling. And Bruno's almost that position now where he'll never get subbed because he's the captain. It doesn't matter how poor he's playing. And that's a concern for me, because if Bruno is the guy we all look to for leadership and his head's gone and he's giving away passes. I mean, even when we were 1-1 there, I think he tried a stupid little flick or a trick or something like that. And, and he give the ball away. And Trippier was great again today. I thought Trips had a really good, strong game as well. He puts in a great tackle as well to kind of deal with Minter. By the way, the Minter celebration, I've no idea what that was. Was he apologising to Newcastle fans? Was he taking the piss out of them by saying, I'm here? Answers on the postcard below, guys. What the fuck was Minter doing with that celebration? It was very odd, very weird, to be fair. But yeah, the Bruno thing is concerning me a little bit, I must admit. It's I don't know whether I'm overthinking it, but I'm just not entirely sure about what he was doing today. I think you're right, Chris. We miss Big Joe when he's not playing. I think we miss Big Joe in a game like that where we're up against it at times with possession-based teams that like to play around with the ball. When we're playing something like Ipswich, we probably don't miss Joe Linton as much because he's not that great on the ball. He's great at winning the ball back, but Ipswich aren't going to take the ball off you. But Brighton will play around you. So you need Joe Linton in a game like that, and the Chelsea game and the Arsenal game. If we had a fully fit Joe Linton, then for me, I think he would look really strong in those games. But he isn't going to be here for the rest of the season, to be fair. So Sheeran is saying Bruno has zero discipline. I wouldn't say he has zero discipline. That's a little bit harsh. I think he has calmed down a lot, but he's just at the minute he's just not really doing it for me. Stephen saying people want to sell Bruno, want to give their heads a shake. Was that a dog? Shake a dog? I don't know what it means, mate. When I just in the bath. Oh, okay. Jesus wept. He's not a gem, that lad. He's a gem of a lad, Stephen. There's no doubt about that. And he's a very good player. But like I say, at times you just want to get a little bit more out of him. In a game like that, when things are just going a little bit crazy, you want him to get his foot on the ball and just calm it down a bit, pass it in amongst people, just absorb a little bit of pressure. But he was giving the ball away a lot today. He's not above criticism. I'm not saying he's a bad player, and I'm not saying sell him. But I just think that I'd like to see, when he's having a bad day, I'd like to see the manager have the courage to hook him off. That's the only thing I'm saying. I don't think he's got that courage to do that in a minute. Vince is saying, Chris, I called a draw on one of your videos weeks ago. I predicted we'll need a point from each away game while picking up maximum home points. The concern is we're not playing well and it won't be easy. But I fancy us at home, though, Vince. I fancy us to get those results at home. Chelsea aren't a great side either. If Cole Palmer doesn't show up, they don't generally get anything. And if they get beat today from Liverpool, it's going to be even harder for them. But I think we can do Chelsea at home. And I think we'll do Everton at home as well. And obviously the Arsenal game, if we show up and put in the kind of Newcastle versus Arsenal performances we've done this season, then we could definitely get something down the Emirates. And they've not been great recently. And they're more worried about the Champions League, aren't they? Stephen saying, subs bemused me. Isak had no service all game. Yeah, Wilson comes on, who thrives on service. So Salah can make his own goals, great footwork, gets blanked, and to waste 2 subs all game to the end. Yeah, I mean, the Willock Sula thing, I think he's happy to bring him on when we're 3-0 up. But he's not happy to bring him on when we're 1-1. Doesn't trust the Sula that much, I think, to do something like that. So yeah, I think that's where he is with him at the minute. Amanda saying Villa will beat Spurs and Man United, as both those games will play kids. Villa have it in the bag. Chelsea will batter Liverpool and sadly sneak a win at St James's. Newcastle in the Europa, disgusting. I don't think so, man. I don't think it's going to be that bad. To be honest, I think we are going to do the business, and I think we're going to get the Champions League. I am going to say that. I'll put my neck on the line and say that, because I think we've got enough, certainly at home, to do that. David was saying he thinks Minter was saying, I'm here and concentrate on Brighton. Well, it's fine, mate. Never played for us. Derek is saying we'll beat Chelsea next week. Absolutely. Graham's saying, no, the Scousers. Too right, mate. Too right. Tony saying why Gordon didn't start the game is beyond me. Eddie's game management again. It was glaringly obvious changes were needed before half time. Yet he waited still 30-odd minute. Still a point. Exactly, mate. And John says 1-1 is good in the context. Absolutely, John. I agree with that. I think it's a good point given how the game could have went. Centurion saying, see it would be the case of shouldn't give some. I'm Brighton now. Well, the fans are unhappy about the whole thing. Yeah, possibly. Yeah, I think he's talking about Minter. He's obviously saying that, some of the fans still talk about it. And I think we're bound to talk about it when a kid plays well, because I don't think it's the player. I think it's the nature of what happened. It's the same with Anderson, isn't it? That we all had a real affinity for Anderson because he's a Geordie boy as well. But I think it was the whole fact that we had to sell these players and we didn't want to sell these players, which I think is the bit that really pissed everybody off. Super chat from Graham Ritchie. Thank you very much, Graham. It's still in our hands, Chris. We have 2 home games. I'm confident we'll make Champions League. Me too, mate. Me too. Simone, I beg your pardon, is saying still in our hands, win our home games and get CL. But in the summer, we need 5 or 6 new players. Well, according to Craig Hope's article, that's what we're going to be going for, which I think we need to be honest with you. Some brilliant players out there. Some absolutely brilliant players out there. Just see the comment there about Amanda. Yes, I've been told by Mark to ignore Amanda. Don't worry. I will ignore Amanda from now on. Because I think she's mischief making. What we got here? Look at a few more comments, guys. I'm just trying not to cough me guts out at the same time. I'm doing well so far. Let us know in the comments if I'm not coughing too much. Chris is saying, I'll take that point. We will win Chelsea and Everton and get the points needed to get Champions League football. Yeah, that's exactly what I think, mate, to be honest with you. I think that the home games are vital and we have to win it. And I think we will. I think we'll get the Champions League. As Big Al says, winning the cup. Forget about winning the cup, first cup in 70 years, and finishing the Champions League will be, a hell of a season. It will be, and I think we're going to get there. I really, really do. Terry is saying Isak's not at the races at the moment, I think, and Willock needs to be moved on. Yeah, I think we don't know what's going on with Isak. He might be carrying a niggle. He just doesn't want to push it too far. But yeah, I think Willock for me. I just don't think he's got it anymore. I think we can get better. I think we can upgrade on a Joe Willock. I really do. In the summer, I think his injuries have just been way too frequent over the last couple of seasons. People arc back to that Willock of old, and he was brilliant a couple of seasons ago. Don't get me wrong, but we haven't seen that lad for a long time. Mark saying 2 points drop in his opinion. Yeah, I can't disagree. with you there, Mark. I think we could have got the win in the end. I think 1-1 is a good result, but I think the win could have been there. Absolutely could have been there. What? Chippers is saying, I've seen fans say sell Isak. Must be Arsenal fans masquerading as Toon fans, Chippers. Nobody is saying that. Nobody is saying that. Chris is saying Leeds have activated Longstaff's release clause. Oh, okay. Well, I think you do well for Leeds. I think about Sean. Sean is a hard-working, energetic player that runs all day. Get him fit and get him to run the games, and he'll run all day for you. Look at the Scott McTominay Manchester United thing. You know, he was their Longstaff in many ways, and they whinged about him, then they sold him, and he's gone on to bigger and better things now. But I think Sean Longstaff's had a cracking Newcastle career, over 200 appearances for a local lad. He's lived the dream. He's done brilliant, but he's really regressed over the last year and a half, and I think he needs a fresh challenge. We need some other player in there that can give us more than what Sean's given us right now. We've got Lewis Miley, I think, who can do that. And we need some more midfield cover because there'll be a lot more games next season, regardless of what competition we're going to be in. I still think it's going to be Champions League, but we have European football as well. And for me, I think we need to do that. Super chat from Sensible, poor performance, a valuable point, though. He is a fiver against some lozenges. Thank you very much, mate. Lozenges are probably about £8 these days, mate. I'm not asking for more. I'm just saying that's inflation for you. That's a different podcast for a different channel. Daniel's saying, would be nice if we get 20 million for Willock. Absolutely. It would be nice if Margot Robbie rang me up and asked me if I fancy a drink, mate, but it ain't going to happen, is it? I don't think we'll get 20 million for Joe Willock, by the way. No chance. Absolutely no chance. Another one there, super chat from Alexander Aldre. Is that right? We're in a better position, win, and you're in. Yes, absolutely, mate. I think we are gonna win. We are gonna win. Oh, get away, Alexander. The Toon Review, they were all spamming sell Isak. I don't think they would do that. I know the Toon Review guys well. They wouldn't be saying that. Absolutely not. We're not going to sell Isak. No chance. Let's have a look here. Scrolling down. Sounds like another troll. Yeah, absolutely. Go on, Mark. Where are you? Mark's distracted by that fucking cat in the background. He's not dealing with these trolls early doors. Yeah, do you know what, Chris? I used to eat Jakeman's all the time, right? And I started getting a stomach pain. I think I had that much, and it was horrendous at times. They were great for the old clearing up the nostrils, mate. Absolutely, but yeah, not at all. Well, God, is Chelsea 2-0 up now? Fuck me, I can't see the sun is blocking the TV, so I won't be looking at that. But yeah, I mean, just closing off on today, I think it was a good point. Not a great performance in many ways, but the fact that we come away with a point, I think, is an improvement for Newcastle United. Absolutely. What we got here? A second. John Scully saying, Chris, answer my question. I'm frustrated. We beat the top teams, but we can't turn the shite over. It's so frustrating. I didn't see your question. Sorry, John. I don't know if it was starred by Mark there earlier on, mate, in the background. But to be honest, John, I wouldn't say Brighton are a shy team. I think that's a little bit disrespectful of Brighton. I think they're a really good team. They've beat a lot of big teams this season, so I wouldn't say they were a shy team. I know what you mean. We beat the so-called bigger teams, and then we struggle against the teams around us. The teams below us, I beg your pardon. You know, like if you in the past you think about your Lutons, your West Hams, your Palaces, those kind of teams. I'm not sure what the problem is there. Why the players can't get motivated enough. Or maybe we don't have enough squad depth to rotate and bring in hungrier players who will perform in those games to try and force their way into the first team. That's probably the reason for it. But I wouldn't put Brighton in the shit bracket, to be fair. I just think they they've had our numbers, to be fair, this season, Brighton, absolutely. What got here? Alexander saying, you've said my name right before, lol. It's pronounced Allure, is it? Unfortunately. It's not unfortunately you're French, mate. Bonjour to you, and comment ça va? They got about as much French as I'm going to give you, especially with a dodgy cold. I sound like I'm going to ring Sydney Prescott in a minute. That's how bad my throat is in a minute, mate. My God. Right, guys, we're going to wrap up, I think, on this one. For me, like I say, it's a good performance. Bad performance. Not bad performance. See, I'm all over the place. I need some more paracetamols. It's a good point on the road to Champions League football. We have to win that game against Chelsea definitely next week. That is key. That is a massive game in the destiny of where the season finishes, whether it's a good season for winning the cup and finishing with European football or a great season by getting Champions League football and the Cup as well. I think we'll beat Chelsea next week. I think we can do that at home. We always turn up at home. I think we beat Chelsea. We stop there. Momentum getting into the top 4. Again, we've got a great point today. Let's see what we get in Arsenal. If we beat Everton on the last game of the season, which hopefully I will be at the game, then that will be an unbelievable end to an unbelievable season. But thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for all the chats and the comments. Always keeps the episode flowing. Like and subscribe below. And I'm going to go off and have some cold medicine. Hoping next time you hear me talk, I won't be struggling to not cough behind the microphone. Have a brilliant rest of your bank holiday weekend. I hope you're doing something nice tomorrow, whether you're going to the pub or just going for a nice little walk. Enjoy it, and we'll catch you at the next one. See you later.
Celebrate. They have done it.